Chapter 5. Types of Sexual Relationships. 5.1 Monogamous Relationships. Monogamous relationships are typically characterized by two individuals committing to a sexual and often emotional exclusivity with each other. This type of relationship is commonly upheld as a societal ideal in many cultures, entwined with concepts of love, loyalty, and family structure. Monogamy, derived from the Greek words for one and marriage, is often associated with stability and long-term partnership. In a monogamous relationship, the partners usually share a mutual agreement to restrict sexual and romantic activities to each other. This agreement is often formalized through marriage or another form of public commitment, though the essence of monogamy does not necessarily require such formalization. The expectation is that the bond will be maintained over time, with both partners supporting one another in various aspects of life. The social expectations surrounding monogamous relationships can be quite strong, with societal norms often discouraging or condemning extramarital or extra-relationship activities. In many cases, the strength of a monogamous bond is viewed as a measure of the partner's moral character, emotional maturity, and commitment to each other. Monogamy is often idealized as the ultimate goal of romantic endeavors and is deeply rooted in many legal and religious systems. Monogamous relationships provide a framework for the organization of many societal functions, such as inheritance laws, parenting responsibilities, and economic partnership. They can offer a stable environment for raising children, with both parents contributing to the offspring's upbringing. This stability is often cited as a benefit of monogamy, providing a structured setting for the development and nurturing of the next generation. Despite its prevalence and social endorsement, monogamy can present challenges. Maintaining a lifelong exclusive sexual relationship requires continuous effort, communication, and compromise from both partners. Issues such as waning sexual interest, emotional disconnect, or life stressors can strain a monogamous bond, requiring the partners to actively work on their relationship. Infidelity is one of the most significant challenges to monogamous relationships. When one partner engages in sexual activity outside the relationship, it can lead to feelings of betrayal, jealousy, and a breakdown of trust. The response to infidelity varies among individuals and cultures, with some viewing it as a forgivable lapse, while others see it as an insurmountable breach of the relationship's core agreement. The cultural narrative around monogamy has evolved over time, with more open and honest discussions about the complexities of maintaining exclusive relationships. There's a growing acknowledgement of the diverse ways in which individuals experience desire and attachment, leading to a broader conversation about the realistic expectations of monogamous commitments. Monogamy's role in personal identity and self-expression is also a topic of contemporary discourse. For many, a monogamous partnership is a deep reflection of personal values and life choices. For others, the expectation of monogamy can feel like a constraint. Thus, the personal significance of monogamy varies widely and can be influenced by a host of individual factors, including personal beliefs, past experiences, and future aspirations. In recent years, there has been an increase in resources and support for individuals in monogamous relationships, including couples therapy, relationship coaching, and self-help literature. These resources aim to provide tools and strategies to help partners maintain the health and happiness of their relationship, recognizing that monogamy, like any relationship model, requires nurturing and intentional effort. Monogamous relationships remain a significant and common type of sexual partnership in many societies. They serve various functions, from personal fulfillment to social organization, and are influenced by a multitude of cultural, legal, and personal factors. As society continues to evolve, so does the understanding of monogamy and the ways in which individuals approach and navigate these relationships. The future of monogamous relationships will likely continue to reflect a balance between traditional values and the growing recognition of human complexity in matters of love and commitment. 5.2 Polyamorous Configurations. Polyamory, The practice of engaging in multiple romantic relationships simultaneously with the consent and knowledge of all parties involved presents a complex array of configurations that challenge traditional monogamous structures. This form of relationship can involve various combinations of individuals and does not restrict emotional or sexual connections to a single partner. Polyamory emphasizes honesty, openness, and ethical non-monogamy as its foundational principles. In polyamorous relationships, the dynamics can be as varied as the individuals involved. Some polyamorous configurations involve hierarchical structures, where there is a primary relationship that takes precedence in terms of time, legal recognition, or emotional commitment, while other relationships are secondary or tertiary. This model allows for a central relationship to be prioritized while still embracing the possibility of love and intimacy with others. Another common polyamorous arrangement is the non-hierarchical or egalitarian model. In this configuration, no single relationship holds more importance than others. Partners may have multiple relationships that are seen as equal in terms of commitment and significance. This approach requires a high level of communication and coordination to ensure that each relationship receives the attention and respect it deserves. Polyamorous relationships can also take the form of a network, where individuals are interconnected through their relationships with others in the group. These networks can be extensive, with partners linking to partners in a web of relationships that can be complex and fluid. In such networks, the concept of metamors arises, referring to one's partner's partner, with whom one may or may not have a direct romantic relationship. The V configuration is another structure within polyamory, where one person is romantically or sexually involved with two partners who are not involved with each other. This person is at the point of the V, and the partners are the extremities. Here, the individual at the point often navigates between two separate relationships, which may or may not intersect socially. Triads and quads are polyamorous groupings where 3 or 4 individuals are in a relationship together. These relationships may be closed, meaning that all members are involved with each other exclusively, or open, allowing relationships with people outside the group. The dynamics within triads and quads can be complex, as they involve managing multiple emotional connections and ensuring equitable distribution of time and affection. Polycules are extended polyamorous relationships that resemble molecules in structure, with individuals or couples, monads or dyads, connecting to form larger relational structures. These can include any number of people, and can be hierarchical or non-hierarchical, closed or open. The term reflects the complexity and interconnectedness of these relationships. One of the challenges in polyamorous configurations is managing jealousy and insecurity. Polyamory requires a deconstruction of possessive instincts and a focus on compersion, the feeling of joy one has experiencing another's joy, such as the happiness felt when a partner discovers romantic love with another person. Managing these emotions requires a mature and secure approach to love and relationships. Consent and communication are paramount in polyamorous relationships. All parties must be aware of and agree to the nature of the relationships. Regular check-ins and discussions about boundaries, needs, and feelings are essential to maintain healthy and respectful connections among all involved. Polyamory also faces societal stigma and legal challenges. Polyamorous individuals often navigate a society that privileges monogamous relationships, which can result in misunderstandings and discrimination. Legally, polyamorous unions are not recognized, which can complicate matters of parental rights, hospital visitation, and financial arrangements. Polyamorous configurations offer an alternative to traditional monogamy, providing a framework for exploring multiple romantic and sexual relationships within a consensual and ethical context. The diversity of polyamorous structures reflects the complexity of human relationships and the capacity for love and connection in various forms. As societal attitudes continue to evolve, polyamory may become more recognized and understood, offering valuable insights into the nature of human intimacy and the potential for relationships beyond the monogamous paradigm. 5.3 Open relationships and swinging. Open relationships and swinging are forms of non-monogamy where individuals or couples consent to engage in sexual activities with others outside of their primary relationship. While these arrangements can vary widely in their rules and structures, they are united by a common rejection of sexual exclusivity as a necessary component of a committed relationship. These relationships prioritize open communication, honesty, and respect as they navigate the complexities of intimacy with multiple partners. In an open relationship, the partners agree that they can have sexual relationships with other people while still maintaining a central, committed relationship with each other. This agreement is based on mutual consent and often involves extensive communication about boundaries, desires, and expectations. The openness in the relationship may include one or both partners and can range from casual sexual encounters to more sustained secondary relationships. Swinging, often considered a subset of open relationships, typically involves committed couples exchanging partners with other couples for sexual activities. Swinging can take place in private or at organized events such as swingers clubs or parties. The primary focus is on sexual experiences rather than forming romantic attachments, and it often occurs in social contexts where multiple couples participate. One of the key aspects of open relationships and swinging is the understanding that sexual activity with others does not diminish the love or commitment between the primary partners. These relationships challenge the conventional association between sexual exclusivity and romantic love, instead embracing the idea that sexual experiences can be shared broadly without threatening the primary bond. Communication is crucial in these relationships, as partners must continuously navigate and negotiate the terms of their non-monogamy. This communication includes discussing sexual health practices, establishing rules for when and how sexual encounters with others can occur, and ensuring that all parties feel respected and valued in the relationship. Jealousy and insecurity are common challenges faced in open relationships and swinging. Partners in these relationships must confront and manage feelings of jealousy, developing coping strategies and fostering a sense of security within the primary relationship. Trust and transparency are vital in mitigating these emotions and maintaining the integrity of the relationship. The sexual health implications of open relationships and swinging are also significant. Partners must be diligent in practicing safe sex with all involved to minimize the risk of sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Regular STI testing and clear agreements about safe sex practices are essential components of these relationships. Despite increasing visibility and acceptance, open relationships and swinging often encounter societal stigma. Mainstream culture tends to valorize monogamy, and those who deviate from this norm can face judgment and misunderstanding. This stigma can impact the social and emotional well-being of individuals in open relationships and swinging arrangements. Legal and financial considerations can also be complex for those in open relationships and swinging. Because these relationships are not typically recognized by legal systems, individuals may face challenges with issues like cohabitation rights, property ownership, and parental rights. Navigating these challenges requires careful planning and often legal consultation. Open relationships and swinging can offer opportunities for personal growth and exploration. Individuals may discover new aspects of their sexuality, learn to communicate more effectively, and develop a deeper understanding of their needs and boundaries. These relationships can be enriching and fulfilling when managed with care and consideration. Open relationships and swinging represent alternative approaches to sexual and romantic relationships that prioritize individual freedom, honest communication, and mutual consent. While they may not conform to traditional relationship structures, they offer a different perspective on intimacy and commitment. As societal norms continue to evolve, the understanding and acceptance of such relationships may grow, allowing for a broader conversation about the many ways humans can experience love and connection. 5.4 Casual sex and hookup culture. Casual sex and the broader hookup culture represent a significant aspect of modern sexual relationships, characterized by sexual encounters without the expectation of a romantic commitment or long-term partnership. This cultural phenomenon has become increasingly visible and prevalent, particularly among adolescents and young adults. The dynamics of casual sex relationships can vary widely, from one-night stands to ongoing sexual relationships without the presence of romantic commitment. The concept of hookup culture is often associated with the liberation from traditional sexual norms that dictate sex should occur within the confines of a romantic relationship. It is fueled by a desire for sexual freedom and exploration, and for many, it represents an opportunity to enjoy sexual experiences independently of the constraints of relationships. This trend is often seen as a response to evolving societal attitudes towards sex, where the pursuit of pleasure is acknowledged as a legitimate goal in itself. Casual sex encounters are facilitated by various social settings and technologies. Social gatherings, nightlife, and parties have long been contexts where casual sexual encounters can occur. More recently, dating apps and websites have become a prominent means of arranging casual sex, offering a platform for individuals to connect with others who share their interest in non-committal sexual experiences. Hookup culture is frequently discussed in the context of its emotional implications. Critics argue that casual sex can lead to feelings of emptiness, loneliness, or emotional distress. Advocates, however, assert that when conducted with mutual consent and respect, casual sex can be a positive experience, free of the pressures and expectations that often accompany more formal relationships. The prevalence of casual sex has led to important conversations about consent and sexual ethics. Ensuring that all parties are fully informed and agreeable to the nature of the encounter is paramount. The focus on consent is a cornerstone of a responsible hookup culture, emphasizing the importance of clear communication and respect for boundaries. The social perception of casual sex varies across different cultures and demographics. In some circles, engaging in casual sex is seen as a normative behavior, while in others, it may carry stigma or be subject to moral judgments. The discussion around casual sex often reflects broader societal debates about sexuality and morality. Casual sex relationships, while typically devoid of explicit commitment, still require a degree of interpersonal skill and emotional intelligence. Individuals must navigate their own feelings and manage interactions with sexual partners in a way that is forthright and considerate. Emotional detachment is often cited as a characteristic of casual sex, but the ability to maintain a respectful relationship with a sexual partner remains essential. The impact of casual sex on long-term relationships is a topic of debate. Some suggest that engagement in hookup culture can impact one's ability to form deeper romantic connections later on. Others argue that casual sex experiences have no bearing on the capacity for committed relationships, and that the two can coexist at different stages in a person's life. The public health aspect of casual sex is also significant. The promotion of safe sex practices is crucial in the context of hookup culture to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections, STIs, and unintended pregnancies. Public health campaigns often target populations engaged in casual sex to ensure that individuals are educated about and have access to contraception and STI prevention methods. Casual sex and hookup culture reflect a complex array of attitudes, behaviors, and social dynamics. They encapsulate the tension between desire for freedom and connection, between pleasure and potential emotional consequences. As society continues to navigate these tensions, the discourse around casual sex is likely to evolve, contributing to a nuanced understanding of human sexuality and relationship diversity. 5.5 Long-distance and online sexual relationships. Long-distance and online sexual relationships have become increasingly common in the modern world, facilitated by advances in technology and changes in social dynamics. These relationships challenge traditional views of intimacy by showing that physical proximity is not always a requisite for emotional and sexual connection. Instead, they rely on digital communication to maintain and express their sexual and romantic bonds. Long-distance relationships, LDRs, often occur when partners are separated by significant geographic distances that prevent regular face-to-face contact. These relationships can arise from various circumstances, such as work commitments, educational pursuits, or connections made through travel. While the lack of physical presence poses challenges, many couples find ways to sustain their bond through frequent communication and visits when possible. Online sexual relationships can begin on various platforms, including social media, online dating services, and virtual worlds. These platforms allow individuals to connect over shared interests, forge emotional connections, and even experience sexual intimacy through cybersex, which can involve exchanging messages, photos, or engaging in video calls. The anonymity and convenience of online interactions can be particularly appealing to some individuals. The maintenance of long-distance and online sexual relationships requires a high level of trust, commitment, and effective communication. Partners must often negotiate time differences, manage expectations around communication frequency, and find creative ways to express affection and maintain a sexual connection. The use of technology becomes integral, with texting, phone calls, and video chats serving as primary mediums for interaction. One of the critical aspects of long-distance and online relationships is the planning and anticipation of future meetings. For many couples, these occasional reunions are highly significant and involve a great deal of emotional and sexual intensity. The intermittent nature of physical contact can lead to a cycle of anticipation, intense togetherness during visits, and then readjustment to separation. The role of trust is magnified in long-distance and online relationships due to the potential for misunderstandings and the lack of daily shared experiences. Partners must have confidence in each other's commitment and often develop strong communication skills to express thoughts, feelings, and desires transparently and openly. The emotional challenges of long-distance and online relationships include coping with loneliness, navigating jealousy, and handling the uncertainty about the relationship's future. Partners may also face skepticism or lack of understanding from family and friends who hold traditional views about relationships and may not consider these arrangements legitimate or sustainable. Despite these challenges, long-distance and online relationships offer unique advantages. They can encourage the development of emotional intimacy, as communication often becomes the foundation of the relationship. Couples may engage in deep conversations and share aspects of their lives more thoroughly than they might if they were together physically. For some, long-distance and online relationships can serve as a transition to a more conventional relationship structure, such as when one partner relocates to be with the other. For others, these arrangements can be long-term or even permanent, depending on the circumstances and desires of those involved. The sexual component of long-distance and online relationships often involves a degree of creativity and adaptability. Partners may engage in sexting, phone sex, or use interactive sex toys that can be controlled remotely. These activities can help maintain a sexual connection, but they also require a level of comfort with digital intimacy and an understanding of privacy and consent in digital contexts. Long-distance and online sexual relationships reflect the evolving nature of human connection in the digital age. They demonstrate that intimacy, love, and sexual fulfillment can be experienced across distances, challenging traditional notions of relationship proximity. As technology continues to advance and global connectivity increases, the prevalence and acceptance of long-distance and online relationships are likely to grow, offering diverse pathways to fulfill human desires for connection and intimacy. 5.6 Celibacy and Asexuality. Celibacy and asexuality represent distinct yet sometimes overlapping categories within human sexual behavior and orientation. Celibacy is the choice to abstain from sexual activity, often for personal, religious, or cultural reasons. Asexuality, on the other hand, is a sexual orientation characterized by a lack of sexual attraction toward others, regardless of whether the individual chooses to engage in sexual activity. Celibacy can be a temporary or lifelong commitment. Temporary celibacy may be adopted during certain periods of life, for personal growth, as a response to a lack of a suitable partner, or for other reasons such as health or stress. Lifelong celibacy is often associated with religious vows and spiritual practices, where abstaining from sex is seen as a means to devote oneself more fully to spiritual or religious pursuits. Individuals who choose celibacy for personal or secular reasons might do so for a multitude of motivations. These can include a desire for emotional independence, the pursuit of non-sexual personal relationships, or simply as a lifestyle choice. Celibate individuals often develop deep connections with others based on intellectual, aesthetic, or emotional compatibility, rather than sexual attraction or activity. In contrast to celibacy, asexuality is not a choice but an intrinsic part of an individual's identity. Asexual people may have romantic feelings that are separate from sexual attraction, and they may form deep and lasting relationships based on these feelings. The asexual community is diverse, with some individuals desiring romantic, non-sexual relationships, and others not desiring romantic relationships at all. The recognition of asexuality as a valid sexual orientation is relatively recent, and it is becoming more understood and accepted. Asexuality challenges the often unspoken assumption that sexual attraction and desire are universal experiences. Acknowledgement of asexuality expands the spectrum of recognized sexual orientations and has important implications for understanding human sexuality. Celibacy and asexuality both confront societal norms that equate sex with personal fulfillment and success. Individuals who identify with either may face misunderstandings or pressure from a society that frequently prioritizes sexual relationships. Advocacy and education can help foster a greater understanding of both celibacy and asexuality, promoting acceptance and inclusivity. The decision to be celibate, particularly when chosen for non-religious reasons, can be met with curiosity or skepticism. Celibate individuals may have to navigate and defend their choice in various social situations. Despite these challenges, those who choose celibacy often report personal benefits such as increased self-awareness, time for other pursuits, and sometimes a greater sense of control over their lives. Asexuality is distinct from celibacy in that it involves the absence of sexual attraction rather than the deliberate abstention from sexual activity. However, both can intersect when an asexual person also chooses to be celibate, either for additional personal reasons or because they have no desire for sexual activity consistent with their orientation. The asexual community has developed its own terminology to describe various experiences within the orientation. Terms such as demisexual, experiencing sexual attraction only after a strong emotional bond has been formed, or gray asexual, those who fall between asexuality and a more typical level of sexual attraction, help asexual individuals to communicate their experiences and find community. Celibacy and asexuality are important aspects of the diverse spectrum of human sexuality. Both challenge the common conflation of sexual activity with happiness and fulfillment, offering alternative narratives for individual satisfaction and well-being. As society's understanding of human sexuality continues to broaden, the experiences of celibate and asexual individuals contribute valuable perspectives to the ongoing conversation about the complexity of sexual identity and relationships. 5.7 Friends with Benefits: Navigating Sex and Friendship. The concept of friends with benefits, FWB, describes a relationship where two individuals, typically friends, engage in sexual activity without the expectation of a traditional romantic relationship. This arrangement hinges on a mutual understanding that the physical encounters are intended to be casual and that both parties wish to maintain their friendship. Navigating such relationships requires clear communication, established boundaries, and often, a pragmatic approach to intimacy. In a FWB relationship, the primary connection between the individuals is a platonic friendship. This friendship is the foundation of the relationship and is often valued above the sexual component. Participants in a FWB arrangement typically share common interests, enjoy each other's company, and respect one another as friends, which can make the addition of sexual interaction appear as a natural and uncomplicated extension of their friendship. The attraction in FWB relationships can be primarily physical, but these interactions may also fulfill emotional needs, such as companionship and comfort. However, the key to maintaining a FWB relationship is the agreement that romantic feelings and commitments are not part of the arrangement. This understanding allows for sexual exploration and satisfaction without the expectations and complexities that come with a romantic relationship. One of the most significant challenges in FWB relationships is managing potential changes in feelings. It is not uncommon for one person to develop romantic feelings for the other, which can complicate the original agreement and put the friendship at risk. Honest and frequent communication about feelings and expectations is vital to navigate this potential obstacle and preserve the underlying friendship. The social perception of FWB relationships varies. Some view them as a practical solution to fulfilling sexual needs without the constraints of a relationship, while others may judge them as lacking emotional depth or commitment. The individuals involved in FWB must often contend with these external opinions while deciding what is best for their own needs and circumstances. Sexual health is a crucial consideration in FWB relationships. As these arrangements may not be exclusive, it is important for individuals to practice safe sex, discuss their sexual history, and be proactive about testing for sexually transmitted infections, STIs. Open dialogue about sexual health reflects a respect for oneself and for the friend with benefits. The boundaries in FWB relationships are not universally defined and can vary greatly between different pairs. Some may allow for public displays of affection, while others may strictly limit the friendship to private interactions. Establishing and adhering to these boundaries helps prevent confusion and ensures that both individuals are comfortable with the scope of their relationship. Emotional boundaries are equally important. Friends with benefits must be careful to separate sexual intimacy from romantic intimacy. This separation can be challenging, as the act of sex can naturally lead to an increase in affectionate feelings. Individuals must be aware of this and remain vigilant about keeping their emotional interactions within the bounds they have set. The success of a FWB relationship often depends on the ability to return to a purely platonic friendship after the sexual aspect of the relationship ends. This transition can be difficult, especially if the sexual interactions have been prolonged or particularly intense. A strong friendship, mutual respect, and a shared understanding can facilitate this return to platonic status. In some cases, FWB relationships can serve as a precursor to a more committed romantic relationship. When both individuals realize that their feelings have deepened beyond friendship, they may choose to redefine their relationship. However, this is not the typical trajectory for FWB arrangements and should not be an expectation going into such a relationship. Friends with benefits relationships represent a form of sexual interaction that separates itself from traditional romantic engagements. These relationships require maturity, open communication, and a clear understanding of boundaries. While FWB can offer a fulfilling sexual experience without the trappings of commitment, they are not without their complexities and challenges. As with any relationship, the key to success lies in the honesty and respect shared between the individuals involved. 5.8 Sexual relationships across the lifespan. The exploration of sexual relationships across the lifespan reveals a rich tapestry of human experiences, shaped by biological, psychological, and social factors. From the first stirrings of adolescent curiosity to the mature expressions of sexuality in later life, sexual relationships undergo continuous evolution, mirroring the changes that individuals experience at different life stages. Adolescence marks a period of significant change as sexual and reproductive maturity is reached. The surge of hormones during puberty not only triggers physical development but also ignites new sexual interests and attractions. For many, adolescence is a time of experimentation and learning, where young people begin to understand their sexual identities and preferences. Relationships during this stage often reflect a quest for identity formation and a desire for independence. Entering young adulthood, individuals often seek deeper levels of intimacy and connection. The pursuit of romantic partnerships often becomes interwoven with personal goals and life plans. Sexual relationships during this phase can be intense and exploratory, but may also be impacted by the pressures of establishing a career or navigating early adult responsibilities. As individuals transition into midlife, many experience a re-evaluation of their sexual relationships. This period can be marked by a deepening of bonds and a richer understanding of intimacy. However, it can also be a time of challenge, as the body undergoes physiological changes, such as menopause or andropause, which can affect sexual desire and function. Later adulthood often brings a sense of freedom and self-acceptance, which can lead to a renewed interest in sexual expression. Contrary to stereotypes that deem sexuality as diminishing with age, many older adults report that sexuality remains an important part of their lives. Relationships in later life may focus more on companionship, but sexual intimacy often continues to play a valued role. Throughout the lifespan, health issues can have significant impacts on sexual relationships. Illness, disability, and medications can affect sexual function and desire, necessitating adjustments and open communication between partners. Maintaining a satisfying sexual relationship in the face of health challenges often requires creativity and flexibility. The concept of lifelong sexuality challenges the notion that sexual activity is only for the young. It recognizes that sexual expression is an important aspect of quality of life for individuals of all ages. This perspective encourages a broader societal acceptance of sexuality as an enduring aspect of human health and happiness. Technological advances have also influenced sexual relationships across the lifespan. From dating apps that facilitate connections to medical interventions that address sexual dysfunction, technology has expanded the possibilities for maintaining an active sexual life at any age. Cultural norms and attitudes towards aging and sexuality can significantly affect sexual relationships across the lifespan. In cultures that celebrate youth and marginalize the elderly, older adults may feel pressured to conform to asexual stereotypes. Conversely, societies that respect and honor age tend to support the continuation of sexual expression throughout life. Emotional intimacy often becomes increasingly important as individuals age. While the physical aspects of sex may change, the need for emotional connection and closeness often remains strong. For some, the emotional aspects of sexual relationships may take precedence over physical acts of sex. Education and communication about sexuality at all stages of life are vital for fostering healthy sexual relationships. This includes not only sex education for the young, but also resources and support for adults navigating the changes that come with aging. Open dialogue about sexuality across the lifespan can help dispel myths and promote a more inclusive and realistic understanding of this fundamental aspect of life. Sexual relationships are not static, but evolve with individuals as they progress through life's stages. Understanding and supporting this evolution can enhance personal well-being and relationship satisfaction. Embracing the full scope of human sexuality across the lifespan is essential for a holistic appreciation of our sexual natures and the diverse ways we experience love, intimacy, and connection. 5.9 Kinky Relationships, BDSM and Power Dynamics. Kinky relationships, which often incorporate elements of BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism, represent a dynamic and nuanced sphere of human sexuality. These relationships are characterized by consensual power exchange, where participants derive pleasure and satisfaction from dynamics that may include dominance and submission, role-playing, restraint, and the infliction or receipt of pain. Central to the practice of BDSM is the foundational principle of SSC, safe, sane, and consensual, ensuring that all activities are conducted with the utmost regard for the well-being and consent of all parties involved. The term BDSM encompasses a wide range of activities and interpersonal dynamics. Bondage involves the use of physical restraints. Discipline pertains to rules and punishments agreed upon within the dynamic. Sadism and masochism refer to taking pleasure in giving or receiving pain, respectively. These practices are often deeply personal and tailored to the specific desires and limits of the individuals participating. BDSM relationships often require a higher level of communication than what might be considered standard in traditional sexual relationships. Before engaging in any scene or session, participants will typically negotiate boundaries, establish safe words, and discuss their expectations and desires. This conversation fosters trust and ensures that the experience will be enjoyable and safe for everyone involved. Power dynamics in kinky relationships are intricate and often misunderstood by those outside the BDSM community. The dominant partner, or dom-dom, takes control in the dynamic, while the submissive, or sub, relinquishes power. However, this exchange is a mutual agreement, and the submissive's consent is what grants the dominant their power. Contrary to some misconceptions, the sub holds significant control in defining the limits of the exchange. The psychological aspects of BDSM are as significant as the physical practices. Many participants find that the power dynamics involved in BDSM play allow for a deep release of stress and can be a means of exploring facets of their personalities that they cannot express in other arenas of their lives. For some, engaging in BDSM can be therapeutic, providing a structured space to confront fears, insecurities, or past traumas under controlled and safe conditions. BDSM relationships can range from casual play between individuals to deeply committed relationships, wherein the power dynamic extends beyond sexual encounters into daily life. These 24/7 dynamics, where the participants maintain their roles at all times, require immense dedication and trust, and often involve intricate rules and protocols to structure the relationship. Contrary to the portrayal of BDSM in some popular media, which can sensationalize or stigmatize these practices, kinky relationships are not inherently abusive. They are built on the cornerstone of consent and mutual desire to engage in these activities. The BDSM community places great emphasis on the importance of consent and ongoing communication to prevent abuse and ensure that all activities are consensual and enjoyable. The practice of aftercare is crucial in BDSM, where participants engage in gentle, nurturing activities post-session to reconnect and discuss the experience. Aftercare serves as an essential process in which partners can express appreciation for each other, debrief emotionally, and attend to any physical or emotional needs that arise from the session. Kinky relationships often exist within a subculture that provides community and support for practitioners. Local clubs, online forums, and social events allow individuals interested in BDSM to explore their interests safely, learn from others, and find acceptance for their desires, which may be considered taboo in the broader society. Kinky relationships that incorporate BDSM and specific power dynamics are a complex and consensual part of human sexuality. They can offer participants a means of profound personal expression, exploration, and connection with partners. Understanding and respecting the principles of safety, communication, and consent that underpin these relationships are vital for recognizing their validity and importance within the diverse spectrum of human sexual experiences. 5.10 Ethical considerations in sexual relationships. Ethical considerations in sexual relationships are paramount as they encompass respect for autonomy, consent, honesty, and the welfare of all individuals involved. These principles serve as the foundation for healthy and respectful interactions and are integral to fostering trust and integrity within any sexual relationship. This section delves into the various ethical dimensions that must be navigated within the context of sexuality. Consent is the cornerstone of ethical sexual behavior. It implies that all parties involved in a sexual act have freely and clearly expressed their willingness to participate. Consent must be informed, meaning all individuals are fully aware of the nature of the act and any potential risks involved. It must also be active, ongoing, and can be revoked at any point, necessitating a continuous dialogue between the parties. The concept of autonomy is closely tied to consent. It refers to each individual's right to make decisions about their own body and sexual life without coercion or manipulation. Respecting autonomy means acknowledging and supporting each person's sexual boundaries, preferences, and desires, which are fundamental to ethical sexual interactions. Honesty is another critical ethical consideration. This involves being truthful about one's intentions, sexual history, and relationship status. Honesty ensures that all individuals involved can make informed decisions about their sexual and emotional investment. Deception in sexual relationships can lead to a breach of trust and cause emotional harm, which is contrary to the principles of ethical sexuality. Power dynamics play a significant role in the ethics of sexual relationships. Differences in age, status, or authority can create power imbalances that may influence an individual's ability to give genuine consent. Ethical sexual relationships require a critical awareness of these dynamics and a commitment to preventing exploitative situations. The welfare of the individuals involved in sexual relationships is a broad ethical concern that includes physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Ethical sexual behavior involves taking precautions to prevent causing harm, including practicing safe sex to prevent the transmission of sexually transmitted infections, STIs, and avoiding any actions that could lead to physical or emotional injury. Privacy is an ethical consideration that requires respecting the confidentiality of sexual encounters and the information shared within a sexual relationship. Disclosing details about one's sexual experiences with others without consent can violate privacy and trust, and can have damaging repercussions for those involved. The impact of sexual relationships on others is an ethical issue that often goes unnoticed. Engaging in behaviors that may harm one's partner, family, or community violates ethical principles. This includes consideration of how one's actions affect not only the immediate participants, but also those in their broader social network. The ethical implications of technology and digital media in sexual relationships are increasingly relevant. Issues such as consent in the sharing of intimate images, cyber harassment, and the consumption of pornography all pose ethical questions that require careful consideration in the context of modern sexuality. Ethical sexual education is critical for fostering a culture of ethical sexuality. It should encompass not only the biological aspects of sex, but also the importance of consent, communication, and respect. An ethically informed approach to sexual education can empower individuals to engage in sexual relationships that are not only safe, but also founded on mutual respect and care. Ethical considerations are integral to the fabric of sexual relationships. They ensure that such interactions are conducted with respect for the dignity and rights of all individuals involved. By adhering to principles such as consent, autonomy, honesty, and the welfare of all, sexual relationships can be both fulfilling and respectful. As society evolves, so too does the understanding of what constitutes ethical behavior in sexuality, necessitating ongoing dialogue and reflection to navigate the complex moral landscape of human sexual relations.